thing towards activism. But today, this particular day, I had to ask my wife for permission to come here. Because this is the day that I'm celebrating another anniversary of her 39th birthday. And you say, well, why would you leave your wife? I wanted to be here, but I had to ask her, and I thought, well, probably will go, maybe I'll send Adam to keep us sad. But I wanted to be here. She said, well, what's this all about? I told her your name, told her who you were. And I started to, I had the Bible with me that I was looking at, the things you contributed. And I got halfway through and she said, look, if you don't go to that event in honor of Cheryl Warrior, you're going to be sleeping with Gracie tonight. Most people who are watching don't get all upset. Gracie's my dog. My dog. It's a great recording. She goes, you have to be there to hurry that home. And what she was most impressed about is what I'm most impressed about, and most others. It's not only the involvement in individual activities, it's the diversity of the activities we've had in our community. From the PTA, helping out with school and education. If our kids are our future, their education is their future. And we're going through a very serious struggle with these 6 months, how we're going to keep them safe, and how we're going to provide that virtual education or bring them back into school. Difficult question, but they need that great education. We were a part of that. But there's also another way to educate kids, and that's through sports, which involves teamwork, and development, and socialization. And you know about the lacrosse and the football programs. The Cub Scouts, which is an unbelievable program. I don't know how many Eagle Scouts we honor here. We make it to that point and go on to wonderful things. We were involved in that area. Your government itself, at a time when people are maybe getting involved to vote, they want to come out to vote, we're trying to do everything we can to get into the polls. You were involved and volunteered in so many very important, productive ways. And the Oktoberfest, just one of the individuals who were with the group of individuals, that's a staple event that they have here. You were a part of that and many other activities. You were involved. So the width and breadth of what you've accomplished and helped us to do has made a great community like the town of Glenville, in the great Senate district, in the great Assembly district. Like, I won't say much about the Senate, but the great Assemblywoman, Mary Beth Walsh, who represents you so well. It's yeoman's work. It's unbelievable. And nice to work you do. I think I get arrested. Wow, she must get arrested every day when she gets home from work. So I'm going to put my mask back on, and I'm not going to read this, but this is a New York State Senate citation to Cheryl Gloria, and it's resolved that as a duly elected member of the Senate of the State of New York, I hereby offer praise and congratulations to you. And as you're honored by the town of Glenville for many years of dedicated service to the Glenville community, and further convey our sincere thanks and appreciation for your service, and wish you the very best in all the future endeavors. God bless you. Congratulations, Gloria.
Thank you.
We also have with us here tonight a special guest, Assemblywoman Mary Beth Walsh. Assemblywoman, as I explained to the senator, because of audio issues, you have to enunciate so the people on the webinar can hear from that microphone.
Don't push too far. Late last year, I talked to my staff about how can we mark the 100th anniversary of women gaining the right to vote. And we decided that we would do a Women of Distinction program this year, which we did March, maybe. It was right before really everything hit the fan with COVID. And Cheryl was one of my honorees. And I had heard about Cheryl for a number of years. I think we met kind of at that and hosted with our kids in school. But I too was very impressed with your accomplishments, and the senator has named a lot of them. But the one that you didn't name that I think was particularly meaningful for me was all the work that you did with the Shell Strong Foundation. my kids were going through Burnt Hills around the same time that Jacob Shell was first, well, he was just a little guy, he was diagnosed, but the work that, to see, and kind of jumping off of what Councilman Gudzinski said, sorry, about, finding the good things in the community to focus on sometimes. I think that was just a way that our whole community came together really in such a great way. And you were the driving forces behind setting that up. So for all of those reasons, and I'm not going to read the citation, and this will just join the one that I gave you when I honored you as a woman in distinction earlier this year. But Florida's state is our loss. And, but I know that when you get to Florida, I would not be surprised at all to see you taking a pause, maybe unpacking your boxes and bags, but then probably finding something that means a lot to you there and continuing to give to your community, because what I've seen is that there are people that just are givers to their communities and care deeply as you do. And we're so grateful that you spent all the time with us and that you really did make our community a better place. So just give back on that too. Yeah. I just want to thank you again on behalf of the 112 Assembly District. So, thank you so much for doing that.
Cheryl, we got one more for you. But I'm in a COVID protocol here. We're going to let you stay there, and I'm going to do it from here if that's okay. We do have a proclamation there you can pick up touchless. So, but I'll read a little bit of your proclamation. We already heard from the Senator and the Assemblywoman. We're here today to honor Cheryl, a longtime Glenville resident who has given so much time to our community. You worked in the Burnt Hills School District, many different avenues there, high school football board, the committee to install the turf on the field, instrumental in starting lacrosse and youth lacrosse programs. There's just so much to this proclamation. I'm not going to read it all. One dear to my heart is that you were one of the first to help implement the Oktoberfest, the original Oktoberfest. And so we want to thank you so much for that. We want to pause to honor all your service to this community. You've won many awards throughout your time here in Glenville. I'm not going to list them all, but they're on here, all the awards that you've won. If there's any room on your walls in Florida, you got a lot of awards to put up. But I just want to thank you for all you've done. And on behalf of the folks here on the town board, I do have the power to today proclaim that it is Cheryl Loria Day throughout the town of Glenville on today, Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. So congratulations and thank you for all you've done. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Spent 29 years, and they have been wonderful 29 years. And hate to be leaving myself, but it's time for us to move on. And we really, really appreciate everything that everyone does every day for us. And we only hope that we can find the same dedication that you've given to our town where we go next. And I hope to be part of whatever community we settle in and give back to that community as well. I truly appreciate your acknowledging my efforts throughout the years, and I'm truly humbled by all of your admiration and making today my day. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much, Cheryl, and best wishes. We're going to move on with the agenda. You're all welcome to stay if you like. It's very interesting stuff. Or you may leave at any time. So we're going to move to privilege of the floor, and we'll start with anybody on the webinar who is interested in privilege of the floor. Raise your hand. Privilege of the floor is now open. Going once, Going twice. Anyone privileged with the floor here? Well, no, I would say no. So there is no privilege of the floor currently. Going once, going twice. The floor is now closed. We'll move on to our public hearings. I'm going to ask, before we go into the public hearings, open both of them. We did get a question already of what prompted the re-subdivision change. So Melissa, if you can come to the podium. And again, I'm just going to we need a strong enunciation so people can hear on the webinar. I think, but I'll let you know because I'm getting little notes on it, if people can hear or not.
Right. What we're trying to do, some come in and they want to do a lot line adjustment. And it may actually indicate something like a zoning code, like it doesn't match our code. And so rather than just letting people do that outside of town hall with Mrs. office, that's coordinated. But we wanted to have some sort of internal review to make sure that it doesn't create any kind of problems in terms of lot size requirements or sizing, or if there's any kind of water bodies on it, all that kind of stuff. So really it's just creating a sketch plan approval process internally in the planning office, and we're coordinating with the assessor, and we came up with the code actually through that process, and then we brought it to code committee for final approval. And that's you.
Thank you. So with that, we will open, there's no audio issue, so very good, Melissa. With that, we'll open our first public hearing, which is set to hear anyone interested in the change to the re-subdivision of the code of the town of Glenville. We will open that public hearing now. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on that matter? On the webinar, if you raise your hand, we'll call on you. Because I'll give you a hint, there's no one in this room that's going to speak. Yeah. Going once, going twice. Seeing none on the webinar, that public hearing is now closed. The second public hearing, do you want to speak on that one, Melissa, before we open it?
We talked last time too.
Might as well, just for folks on the webinar that might not have been here.
The garbage and refuse section.
Yes.
Changes have to do solely with shortening the timeframe between when building department sends out a violation notice to someone, and then we can either issue an order to go ahead and clean it up. It was 5 days, it's now 3 under the code. And also that process of having DPW authorized to do some sort of cleanup. We didn't have that actually listed in the code. We were doing it in some cases more necessarily.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. I'm going to open that public hearing. I see there's a hand up already, so I'm going to open that public hearing. This is to hear anyone interested in changes to the garbage and refuse code of the town of Glenville. I see one hand up. I'll unmute you. Susan, you are unmuted.
Yes, hi. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, this is Sue Booth-Binzik at 391 Green Corners Road. First, I'd like to express appreciation for the fact that the proposed code changes are being posted on the town website. In the future, though, to let people know that they're there, it would be very helpful if the meeting agenda or the email that's sent out to announce the meeting would mention that the proposed changes are available on the website. I imagine I'm the only one who has thought to search for them because they've never been there before until last month. With respect to the proposed changes to the garbage and refuse law, I see a problem that concerns me. It appears that the proposed changes will have the effect of prohibiting composting. I don't know if that was part of the intent. I certainly hope not. So I hope that the board will reconsider the plan vote tonight and reword the law so that it doesn't end up with, I don't know how many hundreds, dollars of Glenville residents effectively being made into criminals. So just in case it isn't clear to anyone what I'm talking about, I'll try to explain it. The definition of garbage in the code includes anything that is, quote, capable of decay, unquote. That means any plant or animal material. And the proposed change to section 232-4 C prohibits garbage as defined in the code from being stored on private property except in a closed building or solid container. That means no compost piles. Obviously, many people compost yard waste, some compost food scraps. People with chickens often compost the chicken manure. So if this law is passed, making any town resident with a compost pile subject to fines and jail time, then I think you're going to have a lot of very upset people on your hands. So for the benefit of the residents who may be attending this meeting or subsequently viewing the recording, I request that somebody there explain your thought process on this issue and that the board reconsider adopting these changes as written. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we do that, anyone else interested in being heard on this matter? This is the change to the garbage and refuse code to the town of Glenville. I see none. And I don't know if Courtney or Melissa wish to either address that or.
I'm
Okay.
happy to address that. The intent of the proposed changes to the garbage and refuse code provisions in no way are meant to prohibit town residents from composting. The intent here is to address issues of properties that might be overrun with bulky couches or other items of garbage or garbage bags that are present on their property, and enabling the town to provide a notice of violation with a shorter time frame for cleanup, and then if that time frame isn't met, to enable the town to, through certain procedures, go in and do the cleanup of that property themselves and then recoup the costs of doing so. Was never any intent to prohibit composting with these changes.
Go ahead, Melissa.
And Melissa.
If I could just add, I think that some of the confusion is because in our minds, we're thinking of it as the property maintenance code. And of course, that
Correct.
is very similar to how it's written. And it doesn't apply to composting. It's more like you said.
And we didn't change the definition
Yeah.
of garbage. That was the definition that has always been there.
And I would further add as evidence to that, in the time that I've been here, I've never heard of violations being sought for composting.
I've never had a case for such, so.
So in practice and administration, that is not the case. So I think the law is operating properly. And the one change being made here was to the time frame and not the
Right.
definitions. That should be pointed out. And
That's
so this is a
important.
long-standing definition that's been properly applied. So I don't see by virtue of the record that there's any cause for concern here.
Thank you. Thank you, all three of you, for chiming in on that. And I wanted to clarify that because I thought the only change was to the time frame.
Yes,
Nothing
the only
else
changes
changed.
were
Yeah.
to the time frame for the notice of violations and for the provisions enabling the town to clean up them if there is no remedial action.
Thank you. So with that, we'll move on to the next item, which is a resolution
Did we
list.
close the public
Oh, we
hearing?
did not close the public hearing. No, I did.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
before they.
I did before,
Oh,
then I
okay.
asked you to speak.
Okay.
Sorry. See that? I had it right. Go back to the tape and we'll watch it again. So we'll move on to item number 9, which is a resolution really reporting and cleaning up any clerical errors on the Glenville Water District 11 roll. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
I have a second.
I'll second it.
Moved in second, and the resolution's in front of you. These are the changes to any errors that were on the roll now that the water warrant is closed. And we had to adjust some of the issues that arose during collection. Any questions on any of them?
I don't have any questions, Mr. Supervisor, but I do want to point out that the length of this list is greatly shortened compared to years past. And I think it is a testament to the decision to go to the automatic water meter reading system that we installed a couple of years ago. I'd like to thank all the people who who went along with that, and all the residents who are participating. I mean, it's kind of a, you have to participate, but this is a testament to the efficiency that we said was going to happen, and the fact that there is, I think, less than 20, there's 11 properties as opposed to the pages and pages that we used to have. I think that this is something to note.
It's a point well taken.
And yes, it is, and you stole my thunder from my report because that was item number 4, but that's okay. I'm still going to read it. I'm still going to read it.
You can. You can.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Is it possible, either for you or if Jason's on, just to speak to the two large, I guess it depends on what you quantify as large, but the two largest changes, the 55,000 and change, one and 25,000.
Yep. Both of those were manual commercial reads that were incorrect. We had to go back and rebuild those because those were still on the manual read.
Okay.
And through this COVID situation, I think there was just some difficulty getting to some of those meters, and there's just some incorrect readings that had to be adjusted afterwards.
Okay.
So the 127 Maple is all the same thing. There were new owners. The old one was billed prior to the mailing. So we had to fix that when a previous owner and the new owner took over. Those are little. Same thing with Joseph and Julie. They had a meter swap. The old one read 1,000,000 meters too high. So that was a case where the old meter was incorrect, too high. Two smaller ones I don't have anything on, and the other smaller ones I don't have anything on either. But those big ones were incorrect manual reads. Anything else?
So the manual reads are now on the system, they're on the new system? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa? Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 10, adopting local law number 14 regarding changes to the re-subdivision of the code of the town of Glenville. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is just to essentially reiterate what the Director of Community Development just shared about the clarification of what constitutes a re-subdivision and providing a means by which these can be at least reviewed administratively. Some of these more relatively minor items like boundary line adjustments and so on and so forth.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 11, adopting local law number 15 related to the garbage and refuse change to the code of Glenville. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Again, just to clarify briefly, this is a change to the time by which the notices for fines and violations can be shortened to effectuate, a quicker response and getting the enforcement that much more or moved along more quickly.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Supervisor, I would just add that the properties that this section targets in general are properties that have a history of issues and violations. And by the time we get to the point where the town is going to actually go in and spend time, money, and effort cleaning up a property that has the type of violations that requires the town to go in and clean it up, it's been a while, and the neighbors are usually pretty vocal about it's vacant properties, it's properties that have had fires that have not been repaired or secured in any way, that they generally pose a health threat to the homes around it. So I just wanted to point that out because we were already doing this. This is something that we enacted years ago to kind of address quality of life issues for the residents, and because sometimes the owners of these properties are unable to be found or refuse to maintain contact with the town in some way. So like I said, I just wanted to note that this is going to be a good thing for the town, for the residents on improving quality of life issues within their neighborhoods.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. I want to pause here before we go on to the next resolution and just point out that somebody tried to pull one over on me, because if anyone's noticed, there's no supervisor's comments to the board in the agenda.
I did, but I
was going to raise my hand. And,
So first of all, Linda, I'm going to get you back.
Well, at least I called you the roll call.
And second of all you people on the webinar that came late thinking that you're going to miss it, you got a treat. It's coming up. It's coming up.
Yay.
So we'll move on. We'll move on to item number 12, which is a resolution approving the town board minutes for August 19th. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, I just wanted to take a moment to say that last week at our meeting, or 2 weeks ago at our meeting, there was a comment made about the COVID pandemic being over. And I really feel that it's important that we consider those types of comments before we make them. This event is maybe in a pause or slowed down, but it's not over. We, as public officials, need to try to think about that before we say something. Thank you.
Well, I'll just respond to that. I mean, I was the one who made that comment, and the definition in the CDC is the definition. And it wasn't from the standpoint of being irresponsible, it's from the standpoint of trying to be positive and note the improvements that have been made by everybody being so diligent and so responsible. And, you know, there is hope for a brighter time coming out of this, and all the hard work has not been just continuing for naught, but it is starting to show some real benefits. And that was the spirit in which that comment was offered.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you both. Any other comments or questions?
Just say what I generally say, Mr. Supervisor, this is a fairly pro forma resolution, approving minutes from the last town board.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, we have 3 add-ons. I'll just quick do the supervisor's report prior to that. So we do have that for the board. I do want to report, as you all know, it's budget time and we're starting to put our budget together. We did get our second quarter Metroplex sales tax check, which actually covers March, April, and May. And so that was down, think about that time frame, that was down 12% from last year. It's not as bad as we expected or were fearful of, so that's good. March was actually fairly solid before the collapse of April and May. So when you take each month individually, March was fairly strong, but then the COVID collapse occurred, and that's what we had feared most. But we didn't realize March was such a strong month prior. We expect our next quarterly check for June, July, and August to be down about 15% is what we're thinking based on these trends. And we can only hope the fourth quarter that we do get some sort of rebound. We are still, for now, and for budgeting purposes as we go through this process, projecting about $150,000 shortfall in this revenue line. And that's, of course, the Metroplex sales tax revenue line. I have sent our D3 legislators, the ones who represent us, and the county manager, a letter inviting them to come and speak to the board for the work session in September. I have not heard back. I did get an email back from one of the board members, one of the legislators today, that they're still negotiating and really don't have any information. But as I tried to explain, and I hope we get a dialogue going, we really need to know where we are with this revenue line as we try to put together a budget for 2021. You can't put together an accurate budget with a $2 million out of an $18 million budget up in the air and in question. So we understand they're still negotiating. We understand it's in November, I believe it's November 1st or someday in November that it expires. But the towns that they serve are all on a budget timeline that requires us to know what our revenues are now with some understanding. It doesn't have to be exact, we know that. But so that's where we are with sales tax and sales tax revenue. Our cable franchise fee revenue for the first half of 2020 was $179,000, and that's down from $189,000 same time last year. So the 2020 payment was our lowest first half payment since 2016. That, as I've said before, and I've raised the flag on this one, the cable franchise fee is going to continue to drop because people are continuing to cut the cord. And that's going to be something we're going to have to deal with in the future. That revenue line is not going to be what it was in the past when it was the only game in town. So that's something for us to watch. We're waiting for the release of next year's retirement rates from the state comptroller's office. They typically give that to us in August. Here's another huge piece of our budget that we don't have any understanding of right now as we're trying to put the budget together. Our retirement bill for 2020 included significant increases for both the police officers and the non-police employees. They have two different rates, but both were raised last year. We're a little anxious because of the COVID impact to the state of what our retirement rates might be. As you know, employee retirement is one of our largest expenses. It's over $1 million a year to the town of Glenville. And so we don't know what that increase yet is for next year. Speaking to what Councilwoman Wierzbowski talked about, our new online payment option for water bills proved to be very popular and effective. We had 535 people pay online, which has helped with our collection. It helped us keep people out of town hall, which is good right now with what's going on with COVID. It resulted in a reduction of unpaid water bills, even during this financially difficult time for people. Historically, we have about 12% of our water bills that are not paid. And with the new system in place, we're down to about 10.5. So we're able to get more paid in than normal. So it made it more efficient for us. Obviously cleaned up a lot of errors, but I think also with the online payment that we implemented has helped our residents better be able to pay those bills. And as you know, the 2021 budget forums will be held on Wednesday, September 16th. That one will be held right here as part of the town board meeting. And then Tuesday, the 22nd, will be at the senior center, 7 p.m. both nights. I urge any resident to attend or to watch on the webinar. It's going to be informative. We have a lot of unknowns, and I think we're just going to have to get through it best we can right now, but it's worth a community conversation on because there's going to be some difficult things for us to start thinking about. You're all watching what school districts are going through. If you're reading the paper, municipalities are not far behind. And so what they're dealing with, we're going to be dealing with as well. Our budget's just a couple months behind. So be ready for that. I wanted to point out two other things. One, movie nights. We're just about sold out. We had a great response from our residents, great support. I know Friday and Saturday are definitely sold out. I think
We're all sold out. We have one ticket left.
One ticket left. It's like the Willy Wonka chocolate factory. If you can get it, you're in. One ticket. Wow. So we are all sold out. We had a great gift from the First National Bank of Scotia stepped up and they sponsored with $600, sponsored it. Storied Coffee is now involved and they're going to be there. And it's just a great story of businesses coming together, support other businesses, and they need it. They need it. We need to do everything we can to help them. And I want to just thank everyone for what a great success that is. Last thing I want to just put on your radar, because you'll hear some stuff about it. We're having a little operational issue right now with courts and our front office. And so what has happened since the courts have reopened, people are coming in, getting ready for court, and they're congregating right here in the front hallway, as they always do. But they're not doing it with social distancing. Some of them don't have their masks on. Some of them are coming into our area. It's becoming, I believe it's becoming unsafe for our staff and our residents. We want to try to figure out a way of accommodating everything that we need to accommodate in this building, but we're very strapped during the best of times. This was a difficult place to do business in. But now with COVID, we're kicking around some ideas. And one of the ideas is, just in case you hear this out there, we may consider closing town hall. We're talking to staff, we're talking to some others on court nights at 4 o'clock. So moving our hours from 9 to 5 to 8 to 4, because they congregate starting at 4 in that front hallway. One idea was we're going to close the doors, the glass doors, and then just work out of that new glass that we put up. But we figured that really wasn't safe for the residents to come into, because nobody's keeping their 6 feet distance. That's just not happening. And it doesn't happen until the police officer comes up at 5 o'clock. The other option is to have an officer come up at 4 o'clock. It adds time to the overtime detail, and it also requires people, once the officer comes, then people have to wait outside. So as we get into fall and winter, it's going to be more difficult to stage people out in the rain and the snow anyway, or in their cars. So none of these decisions have been made yet, but I want to let you know that we're looking at all the different options, but one of them might be a slight amendment to the town hall office schedule for now. We're also looking at physically, how can we create a different entrance, but there's not a lot of options there. This door won't work. You can't get them through metal detectors. We've looked at a couple different things, but I just want to let you know that that's something that might require another change, either operationally or physically, to the town hall operations. And that's all I have. So with that, we'll get back onto the agenda as normal. We'll start with the add-ons, and we'll take up add-on resolution number 1, which is to schedule a public hearing on September 16th regarding the extension to Water District 11 to include 53 Swaggertown Road. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution would schedule a public hearing for Wednesday, September 16th, 2020, 7 p.m. here at Town Hall to hear any comments or concerns regarding the proposed petition for an extension to Water District 11 for the property at 53 Swaggertown Road.
Any other questions or comments?
This is the property at the corner of Horseman and Swaggertown. They'll be connecting to, in the water situation, because the water's been there for years, they just weren't connected. So it's a good thing for everybody in the water district.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa? Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 2, add-on, and that's the same property for the same night, a public hearing on Wednesday, September 16th, regarding the extension of sewer district number 9 to include 53 Swaggertown Road. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next add-on resolution is a resolution entitled Expressing Support and Appreciation for the Men and Women Who Serve in the Glenville Police Department. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, I'm going to take my mask off so that the folks can hear me and so that I am heard clearly. We don't always read our resolutions verbatim, but I think that it is, in this instance, important to do so. So if the board will indulge me, I'm going to read this resolution in its entirety for those listening and for the record. Whereas on October 31st, the Daily Gazette published a cartoon in the opinion section of the paper that unjustly characterized law enforcement in a disturbing and detrimental way. And whereas we, the members of the Glenville Town Board, find that depiction to be inaccurate, demeaning, hateful, and contrary to the behavior and character to the men and women of the Glenville Police Department who serve their community. And whereas we, the members of the Glenville Town Board, further believe that this cartoon, although opinion, to be done in poor taste and find its purpose to incite anger in the community and further perpetuate negative feelings toward the men and women who serve in law enforcement. And whereas we further find that the men and women of the Glenville Police Department wear their uniforms with honor, dedication, and integrity as they protect and defend this community and the people of Glenville. And whereas we hereby attest that the department is led by Chief Steve Janik, a leader who has been recognized for his professionalism, service, and dedication to the department, the community, and the profession. And whereas Chief Janik, working in partnership with this town board, has ensured that the members of the department are properly trained and evaluated to ensure that they are able to serve and protect this community with compassion, decency, and professionalism. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Glenville hereby affirms and publicly acknowledges our support for the men and women of the Glenville Police Department And be it further resolved that we call to expand the federal hate crimes law to protect police. And be it further resolved that we call on the Daily Gazette to issue an apology and clarification from its view of the law enforcement community, and further acknowledge the good work of the vast majority of officers who dedicate their lives to serving and protecting the people of this town, county, state, and nation. I would add on a personal note that I have known many of the department's officers for most of my adult life, and seeing that cartoon in the paper made me sick to my stomach. The vast majority of law enforcement that I have had the honor of working with in my over 20 years of public service myself are here to help us, protect us, and defend us. And whether it is an opinion or not, it was in exceedingly poor taste. And I can't imagine how any police officer who woke up that morning and looked at their paper and saw that cartoon must have felt in their heart. I heard a song on the way to this meeting by an artist named Thomas Rhett. And the one refrain said, "In a world full of hate, be a light. If you do someone wrong, make it right." And with this resolution, which I support, I'm calling on the Gazette to make it right. This was wrong. This went too far. It crossed the line. And that's about all I have to say about that.
Thank you.
I just want to reiterate, and agree 110%. This is just an awful, awful thing to publish, and it is deeply, deeply offensive. And the nature by which it was done, and this broad brush image that it paints with, it's just awful and offensive. And I've been making note of the past several meetings, supporting and making sure I mention the fine service of our policemen and women in our department each and every meeting, and I will continue to do so. This is just beyond the pale, and I agree with Gina. They deserve an apology from the newspaper formally to that department, and many across the region. As I understand, many others are upset as well, as they should be. This is completely inaccurate, completely unconstructive to a very important issue, and does the exact opposite towards any healing, unity, or solutions to where there are problems, and albeit few, but where there are problems. And this is just irresponsible, offensive, and I join with the expectation of an apology to the men and women of this department.
So let me just add to that, Mike and I saw that ourselves and planned on coming here tonight to talk about it ourselves. And we're glad that there is a motion in front of us that we can support in a bipartisan sort of way to really let the people at the Gazette know that they've done a really egregious wrong to policemen of all departments. For us, we're concerned mostly with our own, but it was just a bad, poorly thought out thing for them to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to add my voice to the statements that are being made here tonight, I would thank Jim and Gina for putting this resolution forward. This, as a society, and I expressed this when we first started this evening, as a society, we are going just in a completely polarizing manner. And it's important that these things are talked about. And a couple of meetings back, I expressed my support for different things that are happening in society. I voiced an opinion about a resident in my neighborhood having a sign indicating Black Lives Matter, among a number of other things. And I proudly display a sign like that on my front lawn. And I think that we are looking at these issues, trying to paint things with a broad brush here that can't be painted with a broad brush. one can say Black Lives Matter, and one can equally, and of just as great importance, if not greater importance, say, I proudly support law enforcement in my town and in this country. You know, for me, just to add the statements, I agree with the statements that have been expressed by everybody laid out here tonight. For me, I tried to think about this in more of a personal way, trying to go beyond Mike, the lawyer for DSS, Mike, the town councilman for Glenville, and think about members of law enforcement that I know. These are our friends, these are our neighbors. Maybe just to without identifying where they work. But you know, I remember Mike, who's a police officer locally, being my 5th grade classmate at Pinewood Elementary. I remember Matt, who's a detective locally, being one of our catchers on the baseball team. I remember Billy, who's a detective locally, playing basketball with him growing up. Another Mike, who's an officer locally, who I play baseball with. My daughter's first birthday is coming up. And we're having a party for her. We're having limited guests because of what's going on in the world. 2 of the attendees at the birthday party are state troopers. The media, we all have rights. Everyone's familiar with the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, but with rights come responsibilities. And there is freedom of press in this country. And that is absolute. That goes to the highest court. It's written in stone in the First Amendment. But with rights come responsibilities. And the media should be focusing on ways that they can bring people together, not divide us. And this political cartoon furthers the narrative that will divide us and force people into corners when we really should be focusing on talking about these issues and figuring these issues out. And that's all.
Thank you. A lot's been said by our board members. I will say that this is something that I spent a lot of time on today with the chief, with Gina, Jim. I've been on 2 phone calls with the Gazette, one with the publisher and one with the editor. We had very good dialogue. I would say a positive dialogue, and a dialogue that I think needs to happen outside of just 2 people on a phone call. I think needs to happen in the community. I'm not going to rehash a lot of what was expressed already because you all already kind of talked about the support for our police officers. I want to say that, you know, when I saw that cartoon, I was shocked. It just shocked me to the core that something like that we put into a newspaper in this community. It was a broad brush. It was a stereotype that only worked to inflame hatred between people. It was unfair. It was not true. It perpetuated hate. And I put the same question to both the publisher and the editor. If it was, here's the test, if it was any other way, if it wasn't law enforcement and it was anything else that you did something like that to, would that fly? Why does it only work? Why is it only okay when it's law enforcement? It was hateful. It was wrong. It demeaned people, men and women who are putting their lives at risk, who are doing a job, who didn't ask for this, but they are out there protecting this community. And it was particularly personal to me because I work with these men and women every day. As I tried to explain to both the editor and the publisher, this isn't just nameless, faceless people. These are people in our community. Most of the 18 of our 24 people live in this community. And I see them every day, most of them. And I look in their eyes and I know what they're going through. And Chief and I have a lot of conversations about that. And I know that we're better than that cartoon. I know that did not depict the people of Glenville. Whatever's going on anywhere else in the world, I am telling you that did not depict the men and women of the Glenville Police Department. And I feel adamant and strongly that this resolution needed to be put forward. We were counseled by a variety of people just to have some comments on it, but I thought it needed the full weight of this board behind it, and people in this community understand that we are supporting our staff members here. These are employees of the town, and they are well-trained, well-led men and women who are doing a good job for us every single day. And I'm proud to be part of the sponsor of this resolution. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. We are on now to new business. I'll start on my left with Councilman Godlewski.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, just one item of new business, but I would just make inquiry. I understand that the ethics board met recently, and that you attended the meeting. I was wondering if you could just update the board as to what was discussed at the meeting, and perhaps indicate when the next meeting. And that's all.
Thank you. I'll do that at my comments for new business. Councilman Wozzachowski.
I would just say school will be starting over the next couple of weeks for our several different school districts within the town, and call upon everybody for some grace and patience as we have this unprecedented rollout of the beginning of the school year. And I'm wishing all the students good luck and hoping that they have a good year.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
Yeah, I'd just like to pick up on that thought. My wife's a school teacher, and they are the most essential of essential workers, in my opinion. And I just ask all the people across the community, parents, students, get behind your teachers and pull for them a little bit. It's going to be an especially difficult time. You know, they're going to be on the front line in a lot of ways through this. And just this particular year, try and support your teachers and just try and have some thoughts for what they have to face each and every day, especially in this current year. So just try and do that, and we can pull together on this.
Thank you. Councilman Aragosa.
I-
Nothing new. So as Councilman Godlewski had asked, the ethics committee did meet today virtually. Councilman Martin was part of that meeting because he's the primary sponsor. We did put forward and Courtney was there as well, yes. We did put forward I thought it was important, Councilman Martin, I think, I won't speak for him, thought it was important that the ethics committee take a look at this and provide input on it and give us some of their thoughts. So we provided the model legislation. Courtney went through it with the committee. There's a lot of good questions, a lot of some discussion, and we've asked them to take, I don't have the dates in front of me exactly, but
We asked for comments by Friday.
by
And
Friday,
then we're scheduled another meeting for next Wednesday at 1.
next Wednesday at 1. And so that would put us in line for calling for a public hearing on September 16th for October 7th. And then from there, action could take place as quickly as October 7th. So they're looking at it and providing input.
And I just want to thank Courtney. You did a exceedingly good job in explaining the law. You certainly have done your homework in preparing these revisions, and it was I thought a very informative session, and I was especially pleased by the dedication of those people on the call. They were very engaged. Certainly are taking this very seriously, and they have some good probing questions, and I think there's going to be more to follow, but it's going to be a better process as a result of that. So it was good to see.
I think that's great. What I would ask, and I would certainly be interested in being a part of the meeting next Wednesday if the Skype link or Zoom link can be forwarded to me. I appreciate that.
We do have to be careful of open meetings law. We can't have a majority of the board on that call. We do have myself as the employee. So in the code, there's an employee / elected official who sits on the committee. I'm appointed to that. And then the sponsors has been on that. So.
It's not an open meeting, the ethics board?
Well, I don't believe, and this is something we'll have to talk about, if a majority of the town board meets, I don't know what implication that is, because then you got a majority of policymakers meeting.
Okay.
Let's discuss that offline, and then whatever we could do to accommodate, we'll do that.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions or comments? We're on new business, so I think we're done with new business. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
Second, moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Melissa.
I don't understand how I forget you.